Hi there.
Hey, Dragon Dreamers, GinaVirginiaCasella here. Welcome to Story Species, Story Medicine. When we share our stories, we give and receive medicine. One of the best ways to heal is with the earth, and that's exactly what we do with each other right here on Story Species, Story Medicine. Ready to take your medicine?
Hey, Dragon Dreamers. Gina-VirginiaCasella here. Hope you're having a wonderful day and welcome to Story Species, Story Medicine. So, are you ready to take your medicine? I've got Michael Kopt with me today, and the man's done it again. He's published a fourth book. So, if you have been following us, Michael, he reminds me of me. He's got so much to share that I said, you know what, I bet you're going to be publishing one after another. And that's exactly what's happening. So it's my pleasure to bring Michael to the stage. But before I do, I wanted to remind everyone who he is. I had the pleasure of meeting Michael at the Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida. And we got to chatting, and Michael's like me. He's into hopes and dreams. And you know what? Things have a way of manifesting and coming together, just like our dream world. And this story species, story medicine. And so Michael and I, we chat a lot about the paranormal. And so that's what's interesting about Michael. He's a paranormal investigator. And so if you're like me, you know, when you were growing up, you were kind of the weirdo, if you will. And Michael's somebody that can totally relate to those kinds of things. He's openly spoken on Story Species, Story Medicine about bullying in the past. And he's openly shared that he wants, you know, he doesn't want children to grow up in those kind of atmospheres. Epigenetics is really important to Michael. And that's why being here on Story Species, Story Medicine is important. So he's a paranormal investigator. And so if you have somewhere interesting, let us know in the chat where you think Michael should investigate stories. He too has always had all kinds of interesting experiences, dreams. He can decipher more than I can things like different aspects of himself versus an alter or a different part of him entirely. Language like angel, ET. Michael enjoys that kind of stuff. And so I just thought today I would change up the introduction a little bit. You can always find the description in the comments. And let me bring Michael to the stage for you right now. I've also, I'll show you his book here, A Glimmer into Who I Become. And this is part of the Awakening series, Dragon Dreamers. And so this is book number 4. And without further ado, I'm still getting used to StreamYard. Here we go. I see Michael here looking festive. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we go,
Hi.
reading comfortably. Where's the fireplace, right? Thank you for being on my show, Michael.
Well, thank you for having me back on.
Absolutely. And you're looking nice and festive. Let me make us bigger. There we go. And so book number 4, same illustrator, which is really great, Selena Ingles, and also the editor, I believe, of all 4 books.
Yep.
Beautiful cover. Something that caught my attention right away was the astrology folks in the sky and the hourglass on the cover of the beginning of the canoe, some kind of dream boat. Please, Michael, tell us all about it. I don't know where to start. I've got lots of questions as usual.
Well, it's kind of, well, you're looking festive as well, so wanted to
Thank
point
you.
that out.
Green for Christmas.
The cover, actually, Celine and I took and went back to our roots. And if you remember when we were talking about the first book, how there was hidden symbols and symbology in the cover. Well, we decided in book 4 to go back and to revisit that and to put some hidden symbols in it. And so it's interesting that you were picking up on a lot of them without realizing, though, what you're picking up on. And the hourglass, if you look at the hourglass, has DNA strands in it. And so that was my way of bringing awareness to the reader that we're going to be talking about ancestry and paying homage to those who came behind me, whose shoulders I stand on. And so it was my way of kind of paying a tribute to them and saying, this book is going to have part of my ancestry shared. And the map that's on the boat was to symbolize the fact that I traveled with my family. And so this is my way of, letting also the reader also know that, there's going to be some journeys in this book. I'm going to share places that I've been to. And the images in the sky are actually because I have had dragons around me all my life. My animal totems are the wolf, eagle, and bear. And so I didn't put the bear in, but I did put the wolf and eagle and the dragons to kind of symbolize they're watching me from above. And the blue starry side on the upper right, that is the Pleiades constellation. So I was paying homage to my star side, and the portal is in the background is just my representation of there's a journey ahead, and I've gone through journeys, but I'm not done. So the boat's like going away from, but still I can go in. And so the journeys are now going to be my choice. And that the journeys I had to go through are behind me. So that's the cover design that we came up with. And space, I chose stars from the space because we all have connection to space. I don't think your mic is working, Gina.
There we go. Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right. If I don't remember to mute myself, then I actually end up recording Michael. So for whoever I'm talking to. Anyways, that was very interesting. And I took some notes while you were talking because I always have lots of questions as always. So, the wolf, bear, eagle, I want to know more about that. I want to know more. And I'll ask you these questions again. Where to start, right? Whatever jumps out at you. Also, the Pleiades, that came up in your first book, the eyeball. I got the images here. This one here, the left eye, because I guess you're facing is the Pleiades as well. And there's also the ongoing theme of the portal. And the hourglass in the front of the canoe here, maybe it's just too small to see, but I wonder, the sand is probably at the bottom. And when you said like your ancestry, I thought about like sands of time and passing down, and gravity goes down, and you're coming down as the 3D biological. Well, the other ones are in spirit form, if you will, dream form. Tell me about all of that stuff.
I actually like that description. Can I use that?
By the way, that's what he meant.
No, so I grew up and I've had a kind of affiliation or interest diving into like indigenous tribes, and one of the things that they talk about is having a native animal totem that's like your guide. And so what I always found unique was whenever I would do a meditation or visualization to meet your totem spirits, pretty much every animal that's ever existed would show up. And so I was like, okay, so I'm connected to all of these, but which ones do I focus and resonate most with? And that's when I started noticing the wolf, the eagle, and the bear coming up a lot. And I even went as far as, well, here, I can show you. I was in Alaska and found a statue that has the head of an eagle, the wolf, and the bear all together. And I was like, I saw that and I was like, this is me. That is
amazing synchronicity.
And so what it does is I have really good eyesight. And so whenever I feel like I need to see a distance or see something coming, that's because I feel something's going on, I feel like I call in the eagle and I'm like, okay, I can see like the eagle does through their eyes. And I have the protective nature of the wolf and watching over everything. And whenever I feel like I need strength to do something, it's like I call in the bear and let the bear strength fill me, because they're like gentle, huge, giant teddy bears, really. Unless you know, cross their path or disrespect them, in which case, then, it turns into a different type of story. But I always find as long as you're respectful and you approach with the energy of love and kindness and peace, the animals feel that and will respond in kind. Whereas if you approach with fear and approach with, like almost, I would say, like the hunter being superior and going, yeah, I'm the more powerful of the two of us, they're going to let you know, yeah, you can think that, but you're probably wrong. And so I look at it as a balance between nature and being here on the earth realm. I'm not sure if I answered all of your question, though.
One of them you did. Can you hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I actually have a button to mute on and off, apparently, so I'm gonna try and be cool and utilize that. So, yeah, I took some notes here. Everything you said resonated with me because I too work with power animals, and it's really powerful working with power animals because you see yourself in those animals. And the best way is to watch a nature documentary, right? So if you're like Michael and your power animal is eagle, watch a nature documentary about eagles and then try and see the metaphors and literary devices in and around you, how you relate. And when you were speaking, I thought, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me that Michael, one of them is eagle for Michael, because eagle condor medicine is seeing everything, right? And that's where you're at right now. You're reflecting and reviewing on your life. You're publishing 4 books now. You're reviewing, you're seeing everything. You're taking a step back. Even being on Story Species, Story Medicine, the first show that we did together, you commented that you never heard anybody read your stories before. So that was another way of seeing, right? Like a different perspective, zooming in, zooming out. Lots to say about eagle condor, obviously, but that's what I thought about with you. And when you were talking about wolf and being protective, I was like, yeah, that's Michael. And stepping into leadership as you share your story, share your medicine, because that's what wolves do. They lead from behind. So you provide the story medicine, and then you lead from behind. You take a step back, and people take it in as they do, and you, the leader, move as fast as your slowest member. So it's going to be interesting how your audience is building and connecting with you as you publish more books, and how the leadership will unfold. And then I was thinking, as you were talking about, good thing I took notes here, bear, because it's the public school teacher in me. And thank goodness, because I would forget, like, I try to tuck thoughts away, but I just brain farted out. But like, I also made a note here about bear, because when you said strength, it reminded me about some, I think they're egregores, the blue beings and the seagulls, representative of the gray spectrum. They represent various things. And when you said bear, it reminded me of them, because strength, because you're like this big, strong guy, right? But strength is also endurance, perseverance, the commitment, the mental strength, the spiritual strength, the emotional strength, the, yes, physical strength as well, the financial strength, the balance, strength and balance. Going back to Eagle Condor, being in right relationship and having the strength to honor yourself and to be in right relationship. And I see that in you. And so, wow. So when you say, like, did I answer any of your questions? Yeah, you did, because it made me think about all those things. And tell us more about the Pleiades, because they're in here now. Is it like the same porthole as in the first cover, or how are the Pleiades interconnected? Like, if I was reading your book, how do I know? Like, does it distinctly say, like, I'm a Pleiadian and this is what's going on? Like, how do you talk about Pleiadians in your book? Maybe is a better question. How are they introduced? That was very long-winded too. Thank you.
That's a good question, and I'm not sure if I do distinctly call them out or not. But for me personally, the first star constellation I knew of was Pleiades. And that was the first story I heard and knew. And once I heard it, it stuck with me. And it's the story of the seven sisters who ruled the heavens. And one fell in love with an indigenous boy, and they were like, well, you're in the heavens, you can't be with him. But she so wanted to be with him that there's a period where the seven sisters become six sisters, and one of the stars disappears from the Pleiades. And the story is that she is down with her love on Earth, and then when they spend their time together, when it's over, she returns to the heavens, and the seven stars, seven sisters, return. And that story, I heard it as a kid in elementary school, and it has stuck with me ever since. It's like it's the first constellation that I can be like, yeah, Pleiades. And somebody will say, well, if you could look for anything in the sky, what do you want to look for? I'm like, Pleiades. Where's Pleiades? And then I'll go, well, where's Orion? And I look for Orion's belt, and I see Orion all the time when I look in the sky, no matter what season, what time of the year it is. I will always see Orion. And so I started to realize that the fact that I know and see these, there's something connected to me about it. And I started looking into like star seeds and star lineages, and Pleiades was one of them. And so I was like, yeah, I definitely got a connection with them. And Orion was another one with stuff going on there. But this book, the reason I call it a glimpse into who I become is it's a little bit of what it was like for me as a child growing up in elementary school? What are some of the things that I had to overcome or experience? And then the next chapter is my teenage years. What happened then? And then it's like my 20s. And so I actually use chapters in this book. And so I wanted to give a glimpse into why I look at things the way I look at, what forged me from my childhood to current in a way to where I don't give all the drama. I don't, rehash everything. I only really pull out what is needed for context to help illustrate the point. And I didn't want my book to be oh my God, look at all this stuff that he's overcome. It was more supposed to be a guide of, yeah, he's had hardships, but look at how he is now. And he didn't let the hardship win. He took a different path, and to show people that's possible and that hope is there. And no matter how bad it may be, there's hope that you could turn it around and break free of all of this. So that was my goal for this book. And what's interesting for trivia, if you ever get a trivia question about my books, the last 3 chapters were actually written the night before publishing. They are not edited. Only I knew what was in them. Even my editor didn't know what was going to be on it. And it was my way of sharing, this is my emotional inner child coming out here. And then to show this is what life was like for me in a way. And the last chapter was a tribute to someone very important to me. And so it took me 5 days to actually put the chapter in, because I kept arguing with myself and higher self, going, no, I can't do this. This isn't the way. This isn't our way. This isn't right. And then they were like, you're going to do this. I was like, no, you're going to do this. So finally, the day before publishing, I'm like, fine, I'm doing it. Ended up putting it in there, and it's turned out to be actually quite nice that, the people that see it can see me in a way that they've never seen before. And also a side of me of saying, yeah, look at, who is part of who I am, and what they went through without sharing their story. And so it's, really, I don't want to use the word cathartic, but it is. And it's really, I feel like I'm hopeful that it'll help people have more of an understanding of who I am and how I see the world differently, and that it's not metaphysical, it's not paranormal, it's just my viewpoint forged through my experiences.
Wow. And when you were speaking, I was thinking about all of your power animals, the strength, the endurance, the leadership, as mentioned, carrying forward. So this wolf, eagle, bear, medicine wheel, triangular structure you have, with triangles the strongest structure. So that's interesting. So that's really amazing, and I don't think stories like this are cliche. Like that, to me, I say that too sometimes, because it's the hummingbird energy, because the smallest person really can make a difference. It's not a cliche. I could easily talk about hummingbird for like an hour, but like that's the hummingbird energy there is flying with the high quality items. And that's what you did with the last 3 chapters, was just go for it and edit it. And you know what, like, you could always re-edit it in the future or whatever, or have another edition. I remember I felt basically very, very, I almost didn't publish because I was too insecure about editing and stuff like that and grammar. And so I just did it, and it was the best feeling ever. It really was. And you know what? Like, it's about getting the story across. It's not about the grammar, and that's the thing. Like, when you're communicating, you just let it all out, and you don't worry about it sounding perfect. Otherwise, it's going to be too rigid, and that authenticity is going to get lost, right?
Right.
So I wonder if you want to dig into your stories. Michael's going to read, and then I'm going to read, and then I'll probably have more questions about that content. But I just wanted to say hello to everybody in the chat. Shannon M5562 is tuning in. Good to see you again. And Missing Time 420, welcome to Story Species, Story Medicine. If anybody has any questions while Michael's reading or comments, just put them in the chat, and then we'll look at them. So I'm going to remove myself from the screen here, so Michael will get all the attention. And so Michael, you put chapters in this time, but what about page numbers? Did you put page numbers?
No, I still don't do page numbers because
Now, what chapter is this from?
I'll be reading
Hey,
from chapter 2, and yours is from chapter 1.
Oh, should I read first then? Mine chapter 1, or
you can if you want.
Like, will it mess up the sequence? Like, is it better to read chapter 2 before chapter 1?
No, they're independent, but
okay. Well, you go first then, because I want to honor you. Hi, Tammy. Welcome here to Story Species, Story Medicine. I'm going to put Michael's reading chapter 2, and I'll type that in. I'm trying to remove myself. Okay, where am I? There I am. Okay, on that note, if anyone's looking to level up with StreamYard, it's pretty user-friendly. But if you're like me and you have too many images, then it might be a bit hard to find yourself. So here we go. Michael Kopt, chapter 2.
So this is a short paragraph from chapter 2 that I just felt resonated with where I am today. And so here we go. It says, yes, as a teenager, I had studied and believed in experiences like near-death experiences, past lives, and more. I was feeling drawn to the metaphysical world. As a teenager, both of my sisters chose to no longer be a part of my life or my parents' life. This was quite a blow that led me to seek many answers from different stories. I went into hypnosis sessions, seeking the answers with no avail. I did, however, learn I had many past lives, which helped me understand why some things were happening with me. I also went and learned other healing modalities, thinking if something was wrong with me, I could find a way to fix it. I had to say it took me over 20 years to come to understand my sister's choices to leave the family were theirs and nothing to do with me. I felt such a weight lifted from me when I figured out I was not responsible or author of their choices. And so the reason I chose to read that today was because I know I'm not alone in having family drama and stuff. And so I felt like this was a way of maybe helping some of those going through this as well, that you're responsible for yourself, they're responsible for themselves, and there is a freedom when you realize you're not the one that's broken, they're not broken, it's just your past is separated, and so it is what it is.
Yeah. Yes. Am I muted?
Nope,
I'm not muted. That was really well read, Michael. And yes, very personal to share, especially this time of year. And your sister leaving, it's very personal to share that. And then going through the motions of, wondering if something is wrong with you. because you know me, I'm passionate about false inhibiting beliefs, and that's one of the top three. Most of us struggle with all three, and the three are feelings like there's something wrong with us, like we're not enough, or that things are not available to us. And when I was listening to you read from chapter 2, I thought to myself, that reminds me about all three of those false inhibiting beliefs. That it sounds like the one main one for you is feeling like there's something wrong or different about you. And that resonates with a lot of Dragon Dreamers listening out there, because, you know, you and I get together, we talk about energy medicine, it's whatever, right? It's very natural, very normal. But then, like for other families out there, this kind of stuff just rips them apart. And even with my family, they just not really into that kind of stuff, and that's okay. And that was something else that I wrote the word indifferent, coming from a place of indifference. And so you can really appreciate the story medicine in just a small little paragraph that Michael read, right? And so imagine the bang for your buck if you purchase Michael's book or get in on the whole series, how much relating you can do to Michael directly, you know? And tell me a little bit about the dreams about healing modalities, because I know in this waking life, sometimes it gets confusing, but like in your waking life, you're actually a Reiki master, right? So is that linked to this story here?
Sort
Like
of.
you had dreams coming to you where you were learning healing modalities?
So, in my teenage years, trying to figure out what's wrong with me, I went and I studied modalities like gypsy palm reading, tarot reading, Huna magic, and timeline therapy, radical forgiveness, and it kind of carried into my 20s as well. And so that's why I pointed out in that little chapter, you know, saying it took me 20 years to come to this awareness. So the reader, I didn't want them to think, oh, because, you know, I'm not getting it as fast as he is, I'm doing it wrong. And I was like, no, this was a long process for me. I'm not saying it's going to take them 20 years. It just took me 20 years. And so I just started learning and delving into my life to see what about me would drive them away. And so it started a self healing of, yeah, what patterns have I picked up from this that no longer serve me, removing them, and then learning the new awareness, but not only just learning it, but also utilizing it. Because it's one thing to learn it and say, okay, yeah, I have it. But it's another to see it actually in practice and to see the growth happening, to where, to mention my sisters, when I was a teenager, I would get depressed, sad, and close off and be like, I would just walk away from people and just be like, nope, I don't want to talk about this. It's too sore, too new. Nope. And over time, it was like, yeah, I'd still get a little angry about it and hurt about it. But now it's like I can actually talk about them, and I have no charge anymore, is the best way to put it. It's like it's flat. And so it's like that's how I see the growth and the spiritual healing going through. And if I have one of my two sisters reaching out now, and we talk maybe 10 minutes one day, maybe a month, and I'm like, hey, you know, it's nice that she wrote. Am I going to open my door and let her in? Probably not, because there is a lot of history that needs to be mended. And That's the thing that I think people also need to understand is healing and forgiveness doesn't mean once I say I forgive you, you open the door and you just let bygones be bygones. Everything's done and forgiven. No, you still have the choice of saying yes, you're forgiven, but with the history, it's going to take time before you can enter into my space. And that is perfectly fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a setback or oh, I still have stuff to heal. It's I'm living in this moment. This is where I am in this moment. And that's what I need to honor.
That is awesome. Couldn't have said it better myself, and a very important message. And I was also thinking about your power animals again and eagle condor medicine, because that's another aspect of eagle condor medicine. There's like this ball in my hair or something here. What is going on? The eagle condor medicine is all about not just having knowledge, but actually reflecting on the knowledge, right? So we talked about that earlier, and also having the willingness to shift perspective, right? So we kind of bounce back and forth from snake a little bit, letting go, but alchemizing, right? And passing the knowledge on. And that's what you're doing now with your story medicine, is you're saying, hey, look, everybody, I'm just like a regular guy, right? But I come from a generation where folks like me are considered a little odd, when really there's this big turnaround now that's happening in the world, this big shift that is happening. And so it's okay to be you. It's okay to be yourself, and these themes greatly resonate with me. And when you talked about your sister, like, yeah, you want to have boundaries. There you go. Tammy is talking about boundaries as well, healthy boundaries, right? And a lot of people run into that problem because you want to open the door, but you don't want to get bulldozed over again, right? And so sharing one story really opens the door to sharing more and more stories. So I thank you for that. I still have to read, which I'll do now. I planned in advance. I've got it on the teleprompter. Almost. Okay. And all right, there we go. So again, StreamYard, it's pretty user friendly. This is from Michael's book. This is from chapter 1, Christmas time. Oh, what just happened here? Oh, I don't know what happened. Let me restart it. Replay. Okay. Christmas was forged in my mind to be one of the greatest holidays to look forward to. No matter what life was doing, we always managed to come together and celebrate as a family. One Christmas, we went to my mom's sister, Aunt Sherry, and would celebrate and open gifts as a family. We even would spend time over there a few times growing up. This is where I started to learn what family meant to me and would shape my future, along with what happened in my life yet to come. Another Christmas adventure was when visiting, the timer's kind of slow here. Sorry, everybody. It keeps pausing on and off. Okay, my apologies. Okay, so just recapping, Michael going to Aunt Sherry's and celebrating Christmas there, learning what Christmas is all about. Let me reread some of it. I think this is where I started to learn what family meant to me and would shape my future along with what happened in my life yet to come. So another Christmas adventure was when I was visiting my mom's parents and being so excited, I accidentally told my Uncle Raj his gift. Boy, they never let me live that one down. We would laugh and have fun. That is what I grew up loving about family, the laughter, fun, and also the togetherness. One Christmas, when the family gathered in Texas, we celebrated with a round of the 12 days of Christmas, and we all had a blast singing in the round. This meant we each had a verse of the song to sing. We sure did know how to have fun and make the most out of the Christmas spirit. And perhaps that is the reason to this day it is my most favorite holiday. That was such a beautiful story, Michael. And I'm glad that my teleprompter was able to hold through there to hold it together. Um, that's hilarious, right? So many things about that, like telling your uncle the gift. What was the gift? What did you get him?
I don't remember to this day, but everybody every year would say, "Don't tell Michael what you got somebody because he'll tell everybody." And I was like, I did it one time, but
Yes.
I was always reminded, you know, you the gift was
And then
supposed to be a
singing.
secret, and you just blurted it out. I was like, I didn't know.
And also singing the 12 days of Christmas, everybody having a verse. Like in on my mom's side, we grew up like playing guitars and singing. My mom's side is French Canadian. My dad's side's Italian. We didn't play the guitars. My cousins did, but it was the French Canadian side um, that had that kind of singing tradition going on. But so just to clarify, like, did each family member have like a two turtle doves, and then somebody else is like three?
Yeah, each family member that was there, or like my aunt and uncle may have combined theirs to one verse, but it depended on. I can't remember if there was 12 of us there or if there was more, but everybody had a turn, and it was funny because it's like we had to remember what was the line, and it was like, oh, and you could feel the anticipation of going, hearing the countdown going, okay, my turn's coming, and then everybody looking at you, you're like, oh, it's my turn, and just getting into the rhythm.
That's really, really special, because that's what it's all about, right? Like just the anticipation of like waiting your turn. Like you're like I could see you there, the studious child, like singing along, but also like keeping track of what you have to say and when it's your turn. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy reading your content because it's going to remind them of those times as well. And I feel like too, just folks in our age group. I mean, people are experiencing things at all ages, but this age here, when people are in their 40s and 50s, apparently those are the golden years, and they have a lot of reflecting that goes on in them, right? So, again, more eagle condor medicine. So,
And
wow.
it's great because it also allowed me to see what life could be like, what life was like. And so I could sit there and go, well, if this is what I wanted, this is what I got to do to get there, and start working that way. And then going, oh, well, this, fell apart. So maybe I don't want it to look exactly like this. So I was able to re envision my vision, and oh yeah, try saying that 5 times faster. But and the important thing too was it allowed me to learn that family is not blood. Family is the people that you choose to be around you and that support you and lift you up and are there when you're falling and let you fall, but they don't walk away. And so it allowed me the freedom to grow and realize everything was not as it seemed. And so I was able to be free to learn my own way. And so that was a gift as well that I hope comes through the book is as you're reading each chapter that the beauty of the entire Awakening series, I can't stress enough, is these are all my experiences, my memories, my story through my words. And it may seem like it may come from other places, but it doesn't. They're all from my perspective, my memories, my thoughts. And so that's where I think the true beauty of the book's journeys come through and how they culminated into this book, which originally was supposed to be the first book. And I was originally going to introduce myself and then do the other 3 books. And I'm glad I followed my guidance and introduced the other ways and ended this way because it's like, yeah, you've seen all these journeys, but now you just get to see the journey that led to those journeys at the end.
Missing time 420 commenting in the comments that I tried to be the first kid to film Santa, so I set up a bunch of cameras, having some laughs about that, and also sharing missing that. Adorable. Yeah, right? Like, better wake up early, missing time, and Tammy, and getting on Santa Claus, and just all of
I
that
still
magic,
believe.
right? And all that magic's still within us, right?
Yeah, I still believe in Santa and that he goes around to the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I feel like there's so much in your book to cover. I wrote a note, but I can't read it. It's on the scribbly side here. Um, but I was going to ask a final question. Like, in your childhood, you see Orion a lot, and I wonder, like, seasonally throughout the year, Orion has different planets and the moon or like Venus like right above Orion, right? And I was wondering, like, do you monitor that kind of stuff in your dream life and or waking life?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure I've even really thought about what planets were around and what was going on, but I would just know that I know the stars move in the sky and that like Pleiades is sometimes under the horizon, so I won't see it at night. But I find it interesting that every time I look up at night, whether I'm here on location, the first thing I'll see is I'll be like, there's Orion's belt. There's Orion. And I'm like, this almost doesn't seem possible because Orion moves. So how is it always above me? And so I feel like sometimes the stars manipulate themselves to deliver a message to remind me of stuff. And so seeing Orion's belt is kind of like a memory of who I am and where I come from and everything. And I will say, too, talking about like Christmas, the thing that always let me know Christmas was coming originally as a kid was, like Peanuts, to Charlie Brown Christmas special. You knew Christmas was near because that came on. But then it became all the lights that went up, all the decorations. And honestly, I was a strange child because to me, the gifts was never the focus of Christmas to me. It's like I knew what I gave came from the heart and it was nice sharing with everybody, but like I never viewed it like my middle sister. She would view like, okay, he got one gift, she got one gift, I should get one gift. Everything had to be equal. And I was like, where does this come from? What is, that's not the point. That's not the focus. Why is that your focus? And I could never understand that about her, but to this day it's like people will say, I'll see people watching and people will be like, oh, this person gave me this and so I need to be equal. I'm like, no, you don't. You just have to reciprocate. But yeah, and I think it's kind of a little bit of the competitive side that I see in a lot of people in the world. And I used to have a competitive side, but not in that arena and other areas. And so, like, one example was, in learning, going through hypnosis and learning or going through therapies, where you're looking for a root cause or something. I would find it really fast. I could see the awareness really quick, and I'd be done. And people are like still in like step 1 or 2, and I'm like, yeah, I'm fast. I can do this really well. And then and now I'm like, oh yeah, I can do it fast, but it doesn't mean I'm necessarily doing it right or wrong. And nobody else is doing it right or wrong. It just means I have that awareness. Thank you, Eagle. But it's, I start to realize, like, yeah, everybody's unique their own way. So why do we want to treat everybody the same as everybody else? That confuses me.
And on that note, I'm not triggered because, like you were mentioning earlier, you've overcome all, like your sister, for example, you can talk about it without getting triggered and emotional. But like, sometimes it hits home a bit more. But like when you talk like that, I start thinking public education because we have a one shoe fits all cookie cutter. But I'm not triggered. I'm talking about it. This is a big milestone for me in this moment. But it's even just like in your dream life, and in your waking life, people having this one perspective. Like I'm a bottom up learner. Meanwhile, it's always like bottom down learner. So I don't know about you, Michael, but like I was taught how to write an essay. You have like your thesis statement, then your 3 premises, like your topics, and then you have your conclusion. Well, you know what? I've always been the kind of person that I have a conclusion first. I always start with the conclusion because my brain can't formulate what incarnations I'm talking about until I have like the bottom of the funnel, right? So then I do my research. Like I basically do things backwards, but it transforms into a learning experience. And I found when I was writing my books, that's basically what I did. The conclusion is you're awakened, but now you're working backwards, bottom up approach by the sounds of it. You're like me because it's like a prequel that you're telling right now because you right now are the sequel. Am I making sense? Maybe I need to listen to myself again, but like, I think I made my point. Like we do things kind of backwards,
Yeah.
which seems radical, but really it's just because we're so hardwired. It's one way or the highway to think or to produce information. And so, letting folks know out there, like there is no right or wrong way to write your stories. They're your stories own, and no one can write your story like you can. And just having the speech and the freedom to do these things. And Missing Time is commenting, I did get lots of good footage of my cats battling the ornaments. And Tammy is commenting, you are a very intuitive child, Michael. And yes, very intuitive, because even things like meditation, and like you were talking about, like getting to a root cause and like getting there quickly. Even folks like me, like I can get there like in a snapshot now, but just a handful of years ago, I mean, I thought I was meditating. I wasn't meditating, you know. And so for you to be a child and to do that, and for what it's worth, I feel like as a child, I would ground myself, but I didn't perceive that as meditation. It was just kind of like sinking into the present moment. But you had a conscious awareness of that, which is special, because really you were awakening back then. You just didn't know until now. So I wonder, as your series unfolds, more books and whatnot, like the future, like today, Michael, talking with the past day, Michael, right? Like you have lots more stories to write.
I do, and I'll be honest, I sound like I have it all together now, but growing up, I had my trials and tribulations, and communication wasn't always my strong suit. And some of it was because I didn't know how to communicate what I was going through and experiencing. And so it's a matter of, it's not anything against the people I was around, but it's like, if I can't understand and put into words what I'm experiencing, how can I expect somebody else to do it? And so, yeah, it was a roller coaster growing up, and there were frustrations because I would be like, I have this together, so I should be able to do this, this, and this. And when it wouldn't happen, it would drive me nuts, because I'd be like, well, I did the work, I did this, so why isn't it working? And I would always have people saying, you should do this, you should do that. And so I was like, okay. And if I couldn't do it, it would drive me nuts, because I would be so frustrated, because I'd be like, it's in my DNA, it's in my genetics. I should be able to do this. Why can't I do this? This is not fair. And then when I gave up trying, after several years of trying, it happened. And I'd be like, oh, thank you, universe. So you're telling me, it'll come in your time, not my time, and when I'm ready. So I get it. Thank you. And so now it's like I'm learning to weave what I know now, and looking back, it's like I can see all the stepping stones to where everything was building up to this moment, and everything was designed. And that's where I think it's important for people who sit there and say, yeah, I'd love to go in the past to write things that, I don't like and make life better. I don't believe you will, actually, in all honesty. I think you'll make it worse, because all those stepping stones you've learned from that made you who you are now, with the awareness you have now, would be wiped out. So you'd actually be starting probably in a far worse place than where you were when you originally started. So I would say, see the blessings of where you are now, and know you've been forged into who you are now. So blessings to you for that.
You made a lot of really great points as usual, Michael. And Tammy's commenting that I understand, I'm also learning from the bottom up at this point, the power of different ways to present information, even just a little conversation like we had right now, about being a top-down learner or bottom-up learner. Like, I never knew about that until I actually investigated different kinds of critical thinking, because I was putting together a presentation, and I was like, what kind of learner am I? Like, what the hell am I talking about? So I had to do some homework, and then I realized I was doing my homework backwards, because I had the bottom up approach, right?
Yeah,
And just having the freedom and liberty.
I don't think I fit either one of those actually, because when I write, and then I take what I've written, and then I'm like, okay, here's my thesis, here's my table of contents, here's everything. It's like, so I take the final product, and then I'm like, oh, that's where everything comes from.
That's bottom up learner, Michael. That's
Oh,
like me.
well
You
then,
start with your conclusion. Yeah, you're bottom up.
oh,
But
well, there
a
you go.
powerful point to be made is another way of communicating is through imagery. Because when we kicked off Story Species, Story Medicine, one of the first things I commented on was some of the imagery. And then you spoke to that just very fluidly, naturally, and it covered a lot of ground, good scope of what your book was about just on that one image, right? And so different strokes for different folks. I wonder what other information comes to viewers who look at that image and how they might, in a positive way, be triggered to their own remembering, or they might look at Selena Ingalls' work, the illustrator of Michael's books, and just resonate with her as an author. Like I know when I was a kid, and shows like The Simpsons came out and Family Guy, I found it really interesting the diverse ways that people could represent themselves, right? And then I like how on The Simpsons, they take celebrities and Simpsonize them, right? So,
Right.
so somebody looks at somebody's artwork like Selena's and sees this whole ecosystem of the familiarity, and that resonates with people. The authenticity of it is really important. I mean, it's nice to have AI and to incorporate, but when that biological is mixed in there, and I know Selena spends a lot of time tinkering, and it's not something that she just throws together, and that's relevant, right? And so um, I'm just going on now because I always have lots of things to say, but those are the ideas that are going through my mind.
Yeah. And in fact, this book was a little bit of a break for her because her handiwork is the cover. There are no illustrations in this book, they're all photographs. So I used personal images, so from my collection, and I even make a point of, these are photos from my personal collection or my family's collection. So I'm not promoting anything. I'm not, using them for marketing anything. It is purely to share an experience, or what's the word? It's just to illustrate in a way what I'm talking about, but I'm using family pictures. And so there's nothing to gain from it. It's just for you to see what I've done. And I thought that was easier than having a bunch of illustrated pictures to go, let's just use the family photo that shows it, because you're not going to be able to illustrate that emotion in that moment. You need the photo.
Yes. Um, any final words, Michael? Any final thoughts for the audience? I know Michael runs his own show, Riding Through the Unknown, and lots of amazing, amazing speakers, lots of story medicine on there. Michael's now published 4 books. His 4th one, The Awakening, A Glimmer into Who I Become. Beautiful artwork by Selena Ingalls. And in the description, you can find links where to find Michael and where to get a copy of the book. So, Michael, any final thoughts for today? I feel like time really flew by.
It did. And my final thoughts would be to thank you, Gina, for doing this, because not many people give the authors the time to really delve into their work and to share like what's on the cover or what's in the book. Is they all want to know, oh, how did you go about getting this information? What did you gain? What was your motivation behind? And they kind of glance over the books. I know I'm guilty of it a little bit. And so you doing what you do gets more out of people like me. I know I've said on a couple of times on your show, you've pulled information out of me I've never shared with anybody because of what you asked. And so thank you for that. And I would say, it's been an honor to share this story. And I am blessed because I grew up with a lot of people telling me you should write a book or your story is like a soap opera. You should totally make a movie or something out of it. And I was always like, nobody's gonna watch it. I don't have a name, that people are gonna go, oh, it's this person's story. It's gonna be a blockbuster hit. Everybody knows this person. So I was like, it took me. I mean, let's be honest. I'm 47, so you can imagine it's taken me 30, 40 years to write the story. And the beauty of it is the story isn't over. It's still only just beginning, but I am just grateful to everyone who is reading the books and reading, and talking about this and sharing it with other people because I never thought that would ever happen. And so I'll be totally honest and transparent in saying, I check daily, the books, who's ordered what. And when I see the number change, it's like my day just lights up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody bought a book. And it doesn't matter which book. I just get elated that somebody is interested in the story. And my hope is, you read one, you read all four if you feel inclined, or if you're one of those that wants to read just the one and you're done, thank you for that. And thank you for reading it. I don't expect everyone to buy every book. Not saying I wouldn't be grateful if you did, but
Buy every book, right? You need every single book.
it's a story. And so thank you for allowing me the space to write it and read it and share it.
You are most welcome, and thank you for your kind words because I genuinely enjoy doing this, and you would be surprised the number of backlash. People think I care about their negative opinions about me because people send me personal messages all the time telling me nobody's going to watch that and stuff like that. And then look here, right? And I do see the views, and I'm getting more views on Rumble, and lots of people on my Buy Me a Coffee are tuning into this as well. And so, on that note, folks, hit the subscribe button, show your support on Michael's channel, show it on my channel as well too, please. Buy Michael's books, also buy my books. And let's get the community going because I know there's a lot of people who, like this morning when I sent out the post for today's show, there was like immediately more than like almost 100 views. So that was around 7 o'clock in the morning. But I thought I only have 54 followers on Buy Me a Coffee. So if you like that and you like returning guests like Michael Kopt on my show, Story Species, Story Medicine, or any of my other content, Dragon Dreamers, please make sure you follow me so that you can get in on this because it defaults you to getting the link emailed to you. And then you're in connection by default with Michael, and Michael's also a member of the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective. And so it's a great place to hang out and for community, and communities come up a lot today. So, I've got some announcements too, but before I make those, Michael, I wanted to just a final time, any final thoughts, because it's just hard to let you go,
I know, and I am grateful, gratitude, and my heart sees your heart and all you're doing. So keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing for humanity. I support you. I know you support me, and so that's the start.
on mute. Thank you so much again, Michael, for your kind words. And Missing Time is saying, I really enjoy the story time series, and that makes my heart so happy, you know. And speaking of that note, I've got some announcements to make. If you have a few minutes, Michael, to hang out.
Sure.
My announcement number one is for next year for Story Species, Story Medicine, because I'm hopeful that returning guests like Michael will continue to come. Tilly Treadwell has been on here. I myself have been a guest on my show. That's actually how it all started, was with me wanting to share my stories and connect with other folks out there. I was a bit overwhelmed, but I thought I got to get this started here. And so I did. So in January, Story Species, Story Medicine is going to have a time change and day change. So just keep an eye out for that. And I will be updating my website. I'm going to be cleaning it up. And so Story Species, Story Medicine, it's an invitation for published authors to share their stories, sharing their medicine, just like Michael did here today. And Tilly Treadwell on Story Species, Story Medicine multiple times. Tilly is also a returning guest, and she's going to be back to 2026. Selena Ingalls also going to be a guest. We just have to figure it out. So that makes me really excited. Story Species, Story Medicine, there's only 4 shows a month, right? So start looking ahead, Dragon Dreamers. Start looking ahead and follow me on Buy Me a Coffee. My other announcement that I want to make is bridging the dream life with the waking life. And so I've been talking about making a movie for some time now. And again, you wouldn't imagine the backlash, right? Like, people send me these lengthy, I just don't even read them. Who's going to want to help you with that? Because they could just did it. And it's like, I have to drown it out and rise above. So I'm going to show you a 30-second promo video about what I'm talking about, and then you'll see the closing here. But for what it's worth, this December 26th, Boxing Day here in North America, as well as in the United Kingdom, I'm going to be hosting Dreaming with Gemstone Gina and fundraising money to support the movie making of the Dragon Dreams series. And it's also going to raise money for the Continuum of Conscious Evolution series, which ties all of this in together. So 2026 is going to be a huge year. It's going to be the year of the horse. So we're going to be running wilder and freer. And folks like Michael are going to be getting in on this too, being a returning guest on Story Species, Story Medicine. And all of our worlds are going to start really blending together. And I'm really looking forward to that. And so on the final note, happy ho-ho to those of you who celebrate Christmas. And I hope you have a safe holiday and enjoy your time together. Tomorrow is never promised. And it's always hard for those who are last. And yet for those who are last, they always live like tomorrow is promised. And that's one of my favorite oracle cards from the Dragon Dreams Oracle, which I share today and Buy Me a Coffee. So I'll have a look there. And Michael, thank you so much again for being on my show. I really appreciate your time. And did you have a final thought, or are you just waving?
Oh, I was just doing like you were
Okay,
doing,
he's sent out. All
sending love to everyone and honoring those.
right. Well, much love. Thank you again, Michael. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you grab a copy of Michael's books. There's 4 now for you to choose from. Let us know which one are your favorite, and make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube. Makes my heart happy that you enjoy Story Species, Story Medicine. Here's my little ad, and I hope to see you on December 26th. Anchor Haven is going to be helping me out. Julia Anchor Haven is going to be monitoring. And I'm still looking for a host, and it'd be nice to have another monitor. So if you're interested, please reach out. It's going to come fast, and I can't wait. So Tammy, thank you for your support. Tammy says, great chat. And let me just remove myself from the stage here. All right. Take care, Dragon Dreamers. We'll see you next year, if not sooner, probably sooner.